Some of the next big initiations for the feminine are really looking at the consciousness, not just in parenting, but in relation to conception itself and in relation to the desire to have a family. A download that I can have just continued to get over and over and over for the last 3 months is the selfishness that's in connection specifically to motherhood, but this is also just parenthood in general. And before you get all offended about this, like, hear this out. So many parents and mothers specifically feel that they have the design of the mother, feel from a young age, oh, I can't wait to have children, etc., which is beautiful. Our desires are holy. And there is a selfishness connected to wanting to have a child at any cost. So often we will see this in relation to the manipulation tactics that yearns for a family structure in order to heal some sort of internal wound themselves. And first of all, there's a few things that have just come in these downloads that are like, you guys need to get your shit together. Like, there's this concept that at 18, a child is now an adult and they're to take care of themselves. Wrong. If you bring a child into this space, you are responsible for them for their entire life, for your whole life. And of course, each of us as individuals who are incarnated into planet Earth hold self-responsibility. I cannot blame my parents for anything. However, if you bring a child into this earth, if you have the audacity to birth something here because of you, they would not be here if it weren't for you. You are responsible for them. What type of environment have you created for them? Are you safe? Are you a safe space for them, or are you going to traumatize them? Which, of course, trauma occurs with I think there's no way of avoiding trauma for any person incarnated on earth. However, as a parent, what sort of environment are you going to be providing for a child? And you guys know I'm obsessed with studying ancient feminine history and the goddess traditions and life before the patriarchy. And the conception process happened far before sex. Communities, not just the individual, the communities would feel a spirit baby coming into the ethers, would feel the desire of the spirit to come into incarnation physically. And they would have ceremonies and they would connect with this spirit baby for months and even years sometimes before bringing it through. And also something that we're not really aware of, that we haven't been taught, is that ancient civilizations were using contraceptives a lot. They were using herbs as contraceptive. So it's not like, oh, they just had sex like, the one time every 3 years when the spirit baby would come through. No, they were using contraceptives, and they were very, very conscious about the life they were bringing to earth. And it feels like there's with this download I continue to get, the second thing is that there's this immaturity in relation to birthing children, like they're so separate from you. You're bringing life. You are bringing somebody into the planet Earth. How are you going to store that experience for them? You are the one choosing to bring them in. And I think there are other things to consider here, that we choose to come in with specific parent lines and specific lineages for our own soul's growth. But on a physical level, there has to be greater responsibility from the parent. There's just this disconnect of like, well, this is what I want. I want to be a mother. I want to have children. But there's no thought process around, does this spirit baby actually want to be birthed into this plane? Or am I forcing something? Because with our desires are holy. You're not wrong for wanting to be a mother. Not at all. That's not what I'm saying. You will be a mother in some aspect if that's a desire for you, because our desires are always fulfilled. Unless we hold a bunch of icky shame about it and guilt and stuff like that. That's another video. If you desire to be a mother, that is meant for you. However, sometimes our egos get in the way of timing, and we try to control things and we try to manipulate things. How often have you heard stories about Or maybe you know people in your life who have done this, that manipulate situations. They want to stay with someone so they have a baby. They feel lonely so they have a baby. They want to feel more connected to their partner. They want to feel needed so they have a baby. Like, that is not a good reason to have a child. You just wanting a child is not a good enough reason. It's almost like the third piece of this is that there's this like, have you earned the right to have a child? This is a big responsibility. This is probably the biggest responsibility of anything possible that you could do on earth. Stewarding another being. That's a huge responsibility. Are you ready for it? Are you prepared for it? Can you nurture that life? Can you give it the love that it needs? And there's this immaturity that's not there. And so this is the next big awakening for humanity, starting with the feminine. I think for the masculine, there's more of an energy of like full commitment to being there for a child in all aspects. Because in the masculine energy, the wounded masculine, there's more of like, we see more fathers who are not engaged with their children, whether they're separated from them or because they might physically be there, but there's a disconnect in some way. There's an emotional disconnect. And that's the wound of the masculine, right? But the wound of the feminine is all around manipulation and control. And so when we apply this to the concept of conception and motherhood, it's quite confronting. Quite honestly, I don't know one person who has created their baby purely from the spiritual conception and emotional maturity. And so this is something coming in for humanity this video isn't meant to shame you or to make you feel bad. It's just to open up a new sort of neural pathway of what's possible.